It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You are live with Expresso. Thank you so much for keeping it locked. Time now for a very important discussion, especially for us parents out there who are really going through this as we speak. Just like us, our children's lives, they've been turned upside down by the COVID-19 pandemic. Between schools being closed, play dates being cancelled, children's routines are anything but routine at the moment. Add to this the snippets of the news that they hear, what they take on from what we are talking about, visuals that they see, anxieties that they pick up from us that we try to hide, but undoubtedly are going to filter through. I think the average child has become very unsettled. So before we get into talking about the anxiety amongst children, can we please touch on the anxiety that as adults are having to go through right now, having to send our children back to school? I talk about that, having lived through that this week. There is a fierce debate going on at the moment. And we want to know your take, and we want to get the take of a very good friend of ours as well. This morning, Dr.Mol joins us via video to chat a little bit more about a very dynamic topic that seems to be changing daily. First of all, Mike, how are you doing, my friend?
Graham, I'm good. I feel for you. A little 3-year-old running around the house, deciding to go back to school or play dates or crash rather. Very, very tough decision. But I think after today's discussion, I'm going to set your mind at ease.
Thank you so much. And look, I feel so much better for it, and we'll delve a little deeper into that because I can see the knock-on effect. But I did experience, and you know, Lindsay and I both had a huge amount of anxiety, knowing how much he needed the social interaction, but also feeling the weight of the risk. Does the risk of sending your child back to school not outweigh the benefits of keeping them safe at home? Where do you sit on that very diverse topic at the moment?
Well, Graham, I mean, I respect the autonomy of parents and caregivers to decide really what's best, or for their own kids, and in terms of what's in the best interest of their children. And of course, children who've got an underlying health issue should be kept at home. Absolutely. But I've listened to the experts, I've read the research, and like you, I feel that the benefits of being at school really outweigh the benefits of keeping children at home. I mean, at school benefits extend way beyond just the educational. For children who are used to being at school, being isolated has had a significant impact on their mental and their psychological well-being. I mean, you talked about that earlier. Plus, as you know, school closures affect children differently. So for many, going back to school also means food security and overall safety, which we often, overlook and don't think about. But I mean, children are feeling the stress of COVID as much as we are. And this ongoing, social interaction by way of face-to-face class and teacher support, albeit at a distance, really allows kids to cope more easily with those high levels of stress. And that's because social relationships are central to our well-being, and the lack of them often correlates with feelings of loneliness. And of course, loneliness in turn has been linked to high levels of stress, anxiety, and depression, not just for adults, but of course, for our kids too.
Mike, to put it plainly, I think my little boy is just sick of me, man. I think he is so intensely sick of the same environment, the same kind of stimulus. There are moments where it seems like he's been overstimulated with the wrong kind of stimulus, because that's all we can do in that space. And I can see the difference just after a couple of days of being back with his mates. He is like a new little man. So I certainly agree with you. I can see the shift on the anxiety level. And I know there is...
Like I said, Graham, I mean, he's 3, so you're not having to deal with maths and, that kind of homework. So that's coming away, man. If there's a lockdown in years to come, you're facing that kind of, I don't know, my boy, help. My son came home the other day, in fact, and he said, Dad, how do I get taller? Shorter than all the other boys. I mean, we've been away for a couple of months, and next thing I get back, and I'm the shortest one, So, yeah, back next week, we'll talk about how to get your kids taller.
I thought you were supposed to be helping my anxiety levels, man. Now I've got math homework to worry about for the next 15 years. But we'll get through it, man. At least I know I could give you a call if I have to. Look, Mike, you would know better than most that there is new data coming through literally every day. We are being sent very mixed messages, but obviously got sent a very emphatic message by our president this week. The numbers are rising. The storm is here. The top of the curve is here. This is a dangerous time. Surely then we should be taking extra precautions when we know that this is the peak of the infection rate.
Graham, I mean, you're right. It is worrying, but the research we have to date is consistent, and it hasn't actually changed. I mean, children biologically deal with COVID better than we as adults do. They're less likely to get sick if they get infected. They have a milder disease, and they are unlikely to die from the virus. Sorry to say it so plainly, but that's really what the research says. and they're probably less infectious than adults. I mean, in a recent study published in Chinese children, 90% of those who tested positive for the disease had mild symptoms or none at all. Of course, I mean, there's a lot we still don't know about the virus. As you mentioned, we initially believed that children would be super carriers and infect adults around them. But actually, the most recent studies have found just the opposite, that children seldom infect adults and other kids. In fact, it's the other way around. We are more likely to infect our own kids.
Okay, I'm going to get into some of those symptoms and how they differ between adults and children, but thank you. You did promise that I'd be feeling a little bit better, and I do feel a little bit better. And this is about the time now that my little man is getting up and getting ready to go to school as well. So I have an awesome day, my little boy. But Mike, we're going to continue, if you can, stick around, continue this discussion for just a little bit longer. We are focusing, obviously, on our children's health, what's most important to us during a very, very difficult time when we've got to make that choice to send our kids back to school. What are the implications thereof? What are the positive side effects of our kids being able to go back into that social environment? There are massive, massive decisions to make, and we will help you do that right here, so keep it locked.